Hello, everyone. This is FOMOBY Dick. Today is May 21st, 2018. This is the second installment of cryptocurrency exploration. We're going to be hanging out with Yuki and the Goddess again tonight. If you guys want to say hi, go ahead.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
We also have two guests, Bitcoin Beggar and Travis Sweet Tea. We had a third, but he's in the middle of a pretty decent thunderstorm right now, so we had to lose him. But that's Don Euler on Twitter. Tonight we're going to talk about some more basic trading information, I guess, techniques, just real basic stuff, and we're also going to try and entertain some questions from you guys if you have them. So, Beggar, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me here from over. I want to say that first. And then, yeah, I'm Bitcoin Beggar. You find me on the Twitter. And that's about it. I hide on Twitter.
Travis, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm the one guy that can't seem to figure out how the Abby thing can display. But otherwise, yeah, I write some crypto rhymes. Just try to have fun out there. Because I'm not a good trader. So, you know.
Tell us a little bit about your crypto experience.
Oh, well, I got into the game a couple years ago. Then I mistakenly didn't hold on to things. I wasn't a Bitcoin maximalist in the early days when I should have been. I left for a little while for various reasons, but then when everything blew up, I had to come back, see what it was all about.
Right on. Bigger, do you want to also kind of tell us a little bit about your crypto experience?
Sure. Yeah, I started probably late 2014 and kind of just started as a joke. My account was kind of a joke. I was a hard money guy. I liked gold, silver, and I had a political Twitter account, and I had a friend there that had convinced me that Bitcoin was better than gold or silver, and we fought about it. And he explained to me the blockchain, and I was sold. Figured I'd create myself a Bitcoin account, and I found Dogecoin within. I think I was in day 2, and kind of just went from there. Learned a little bit about the blockchain. Learned a little bit about mining, and then it kind of turned into trading. I traded a little bit here and there, and it was a lot different than nowadays. Trading back then it was pretty risky, but there wasn't as many options. So you were in or you were out, and I had a couple ins, and it kind of lifted me up to a point where I was able to put some in reserve, and I've pretty much been trading on what I had made since. And I have a couple piggy banks for my kids, and got myself kind of set up with a retirement fund, and now I'm here with you guys.
Cool. That's really cool that you mentioned the piggy bank for kids, because I think that anybody that has a family or is planning a family, that's something that they should certainly entertain the thought of, is putting something away for the kiddos.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I like to joke with people and tell them that my 9-year-old daughter probably has more Dogecoin than they do.
That's
I mean,
true,
I've been collecting Dogecoin for a long time for her, and then in 3 weeks I'm going to be having a son, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and do a Bitcoin one for him. And my Twitter friend Penguino had the greatest idea. She told me to get a onesie with Bitcoin College Fund on it and put a QR code on there snap pics, and I'm gonna send it around the internet. Y'all are gonna pay my son's college fund.
That is genius. Pinguino is genius.
Yeah,
He is.
that's amazing. I love that idea.
Congratulations on the new addition to the family for sure.
Yeah,
That's
excited.
awesome. Keep us informed on that for sure.
Absolutely.
My wife and I had one a daughter a little over a month and a half ago. So
Yes, I've seen the pics. Yeah, your girls are awesome.
yeah.
I actually been trading based upon their face.
yes. Follow the Oracle daughters.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, to recap a little bit of what we talked about last week with Amuse and oh shoot, who else was it? Here on Mars. We talked about having a game plan for your trading, keeping a journal. Having a plan and trading your plan is paramount in this. There's a lot of people with more resources and probably more experience than those of us who are just getting started. So that's really key. We talked about weighing risk versus reward on the trades that you're making. Um, Talked a little bit about how to do that, and then we also talked about time frames. What time frame you are trading in speaks to who you are as a person, how you want to enact your trading plan. So, um, and then that also ties into emotion. Um, Want to make sure that you have a good consciousness of what emotions you're experiencing and what kind of movements you need to be making in your trades based off those. Boy, I'm trying to. Okay, sorry guys, my phone keeps going off right here in my ear. What kind of emotions you have and how to be placing your trades based off of that, and the rest of the market, which we're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight. I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. Should be able to see my screen now. And let's see. So we're going to talk a little bit about trends. How to identify, uptrends, downtrends, and range bound trends. Your uptrends are going to be something that are pretty obvious. You're going to be seeing higher highs, which you guys can kind of see in this graphic that I have here, and higher lows. That's some of the telltale signs of an uptrend. And for downtrend, you're going to be seeing lower highs and lower lows. So that's basically a downtrend. Range bound markets kind of tend to move between support and resistance levels in a lateral fashion. And then that also kind of plays into your market emotions, which we talked a little bit about last week. Um, you've got to be conscious of when the market is feeling the thrill and euphoria, and realize that that's maybe an opportunity to sell. And you've got to be conscious of when you're in capitulation, when you're ready to surrender and sell. That's probably your maximum opportunity to buy. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. Do you guys have any questions or input on any of that stuff?
Yeah, if you could, can you go back to your slides, FOMOBY?
Yep, give me 1 second here.
I want. It was where you had showed us coming down, and then we went sideways and went up. Next, right there. So I would like to think that we are right around that range sideways, maybe towards pretty close to where your arrow was there, towards the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm liking to think that we're there, right? I mean, because we had our huge pump, which is on the left there. We went into the awful, brutal downtrend that we lost half of crypto Twitter on. And then we had our little bump, and now we've been sideways now for a while. I would like to think that we're on this uptrend bullish trend.
Yeah, and I'm going to quickly switch over to something I was drawing earlier on the Bitcoin chart. This is not the entire market cap, but this is Bitcoin, and that's a pretty good precursor for the rest of the market. But you can see that blow off top that we had when we got so extended at 20,000 in December. And then we, kind of followed this downtrend channel, which you can see the red lines, the resistance and support lines. And for anybody that's wondering, these lines, you can kind of play with them. You can move them around on TradingView, but you want to draw them to where they are touched pretty significantly with the volume or the body of these candles. And we're going to talk about candlesticks here in a little bit, but so yeah, we've been in kind of a downtrend until I think it was, what is that, February, early February, and then we kind of bounced to the top of that channel, and we've, in my opinion, been range bound ever since. So what you're seeing here, you can move this up and say that that's the ultimate resistance on our range bound market trend. I just have it down here right now because that's where I'm looking at in the smaller time frames. But and this applies not only to a daily time frame. You can set these trend lines on any time frame. You can see I've got some down here on the hourly for Bitcoin. But knowing how to use these trend lines is a really cool tool for simplicity. You don't have a great deal of indicators on this chart, just some volume going on down here. But this, just knowing how to set trend lines and look at them is really a valuable tool in any trader's toolbox. You can see I've got the lateral trend line here for this, what is it, $8,300 resistance. 83.50 probably is a good idea for a resistance right now in the short term. You can see we're kind of in a little downtrend channel right now, which we fell out of, I want to say 30 minutes ago, and kind of popped back up into. But yeah, these trend lines are really, really good for anybody that's wanting to start out. Getting on here and drawing the trend lines, playing around with it, that's going to help you identify levels of support and resistance, and it's going to help you identify what kind of trend we're in, long term and short term. And again, we said last week, the longer time frames are going to give you more reliable information. So the longer trend lines are also going to give you more reliable information. Any questions?
I'm good. Anyone? Travis?
Makes sense to you?
No, not as of right now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, sir.
All right, let's move on to the candles. I'm going to share my screen again here with everybody. Hope I'm doing this right. I don't know that I've been sharing it with just you guys in the chat or everybody that's watching the live feed. Let me check real quick and make sure. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the market emotions, maximum financial risk up here when everybody's really happy and yay, Bitcoin's $20,000. I'm going to go buy my Lambo and my moon ticket and all that. And then, probably
I quit,
early,
and then too, I quit.
I quit somewhere in here.
Right.
And maybe the markets just aren't for me. Maybe crypto Twitter was
Right.
a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yes, we laugh at them.
Bought it on the credit card at
should-
$20,000.
Shouldn't laugh at anybody that's losing.
No, we shouldn't.
That's why we're here. We want to
Agreed.
help people learn this stuff and not mortgage the house to go on BitMEX at 100 buy. Maximum financial opportunity down here. That's for the people who are learning this stuff, getting smart, and knowing what they're doing. Or you could just be the hodler and go wee all the way through all this. Okay, next slide. We're going to talk a little bit about candlesticks. So on that chart that I was showing, it's okay. I'll stay on this for right now, and then we'll go back to the chart. You've got the body of your candlestick is this rectangular portion right here, and then you have up wicks and down wicks.
Mhm.
For a bullish candle, the close is always going to be above the open. So we started this candle at say 10 o'clock when we started the broadcast, and it went up $100, and we closed the hour $100 higher. For a bearish candle, the red ones, the close is going to be lower than the open. So whenever that time frame starts, we've lost some money down here. Maybe we traded all the way down to the bottom of this wick, but at close, this is where we stopped. Does that make sense to you guys?
I don't understand the wicks and the candles.
Okay, so I thought I put it pretty simply, but okay, so we started this this hour at 10 o'clock, right?
Okay.
And when we started the hour, we may have traded down a little bit, but then we went above the last close and we closed higher than when we opened, correct?
Okay.
So
Is
you're
that
right.
one supposed to be green on top?
It is supposed to be green. Yeah. I didn't get maybe the right image, but imagine we have green going on
Right.
here.
Okay.
Okay.
And the wick is outside of your open and close. So we traded down here. We opened the hour here and we traded down, but then
Mhm.
we went up, maybe even all the way to here,
Hmm.
and then closed the hour. So after the hour is up, this is where we closed at, is the top of this body of the candle. Does that make sense, Yuki?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the same, but vice versa for your bullish candles.
Okay.
We'll talk about different types of candles, like a daily hammer, which is a really important one too. Or any, I guess, hammer is kind of important. Time frame doesn't matter, but the trend and your candlestick pattern does. But we'll talk about different kinds of candlesticks. Like these are just pretty basic candlesticks. A hammer, you would have a long wick on the bottom or top if it was an inverted hammer, and those are some good signs for us. And actually, you can see those on this slide. I don't know if you guys could see this right now, but so like this candlestick right here is actually a inverted hammer.
Right.
And this one kind of shows you maybe some indecision in the market. They trade up and trade down, and the body is real close, tight together.
That's the ones I like.
Yes, that's kind of maybe a more of an accumulation candle, or trend reversal, pattern reversal.
Hmm.
And then you have your engulfing, or your engulfing candles, which is mostly just all body to the candle, maybe a small wick out of the top or bottom,
Mhm.
depending. Uh, Travis, sweet tea, you're pretty quiet. Do you have any questions on any of this stuff?
Well, is the thickness of the candle, is that volume? Is that what that is? Or no?
That is not the volume. That is the body of the candle is just where so at the uh, one end of the candle is the open and one end is the close. The wick is maybe where it traded up above the close, or below the close, I guess you could say. Does that make sense? Like, okay, the price action went above where we closed at, so the body of the candle, the top of that's going to show the close. The wick is going to show you just where it traded to in that during that time period. So
Oh,
let's go back to trading view. I'm going to show you guys trading view again.
okay.
Hopefully make this a little bit clearer. Let's watch a 1 minute candle take place here. So right now, this minute right here, this red candle, you guys see that? Is that
Yes.
big enough that you can see?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
That minute was the last minute. It started up here at 82.90 and 30 cents, and it traded all the way down to 82, 89, and 70 cents, and that was the close, right?
Mhm.
Right.
But if you look over here, we had this green one right here.
Uh-huh.
It started at 82.74, and then maybe it traded all the way down here to 82.59. But at the end of that minute, it had actually closed higher than the last minute, and that's why you have a green candle there instead of a red one, even though it traded lower at one point during that minute.
Oh, okay.
So, and then that kind of goes back into the the hammer thing. So we saw a huge downward wick on that, and then a little body up near the top. Those hammers are good signals that we're going to have some sort of a trend reversal. So, and then that kind of plays into the market emotion too. Down here, you have people selling, and it's kind of a capitulation sort of thing, and then it pops right back up. You can kind of see how we're going through that in a smaller time frame right here
Mhm.
as we speak. So watching this candle, this last candle right here play out, we're trading up higher, and we can even, if you wanted to trade 1 minute charts, don't do it, please.
Right.
But you could, set a trend line right there, and how you can see how the tops of these candles uh, kind of coincide at the same price. You see that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So even here on this smaller time frame, we can pick out a resistance level, and down here a support level. Even though this one doesn't have a body of that candle reaching that support level, you can see how it went down and touched it and then bounced off of that support level. Make sense?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. I want to get off of screen share.
What?
It went like all the way in like a tunnel.
Yeah, that gets us excited when we see that.
Little trippy there.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of back up here for a second and go to the trends. We talked about your uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, are kind of the key identifiers of that, or they are the key identifiers in plain speak. And for downtrends, lower highs and lower lows. And these all take place, as we just saw on longer time frames and shorter time frames. And then you have, your range bound markets, which are, in my opinion, more difficult to trade. But if you are good with the trend lines and place tight stop losses, then there's money to be made in those also. I want to talk about the stages of these trends. So each one of these trends, uptrend, downtrend, even range bound, is kind of, I guess, a stage of a longer term trend. But they all go through an accumulation period, which is, a lot of your big, smarter money is buying during the accumulation period. And then you have a markup period. So you'll have like maybe a bull run or a bear run at the end of the accumulation period. And then you have distribution, which, like we saw back in December, we kind of had the $28,000 blow off top, and then things got really choppy. We had massive swings in small time frames. Um, After that, that's your distribution, and that's when a lot of the smart money is selling. Does that make sense to you guys? I
Mhm.
wish I had a graphic for that one, but I don't. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare tonight. So, in each one of these, stages of a trend, they reflect human nature, and you see these patterns over and over and over again. Looking at these charts, and the more you practice them, the easier it's going to be for you to recognize them, and then also it's going to be easier for you to recognize your own emotions and kind of retrain your brain to make moves that reflect the right direction to go in a trade. So instead of having euphoria, yes, this bull run's going to last forever at 20,000, you recognize, okay, this is getting a little crazy, we're doing really, really well, maybe that's a time to sell, take some profits, and kind of sit on the sidelines with those profits for a while. Same goes for your capitulation or the bottom of a downtrend. You feel shitty, you feel like this isn't worth it, and you just want to sell everything and live in a cardboard box. That's the time for you actually to be buying. You have to flip that in your mind to really maximize on some of these trades.
Yeah, and you can see that sentiment on Twitter as well if you look how people react, and you can kind of play off that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There are signs of that sentiment on Twitter, but at the same time, be careful because there are people who are smart, and they are counter trading you. You know, they want to make their money too,
Yeah.
and they're going to say, something that might give you the feeling that that's not the sentiment. Which we've seen that with kind of the alt season. Some people saying, "Oh, it's alt season." It's really not. We're still in a range bound market, and if you look at like this total market cap, that's certainly evident. We've just been going sideways since I think I said in mid March that I felt like we were going to be range bound for a while, and now here we are, 2 months later. That's still the case. Um, but yeah, you're right, Beggar. You can kind of gauge sentiment based on other people too. Um, just know that it's easier to rely on uh, your own emotions, I guess.
Right. Do
You're,
the
you're,
opposite of what you feel.
yep, absolutely. When you
I love that.
when you feel like selling, that's probably a good time to be buying.
Huh.
You got
Sweet,
it.
Sweet Tea, are you there?
Oh, I'm here, taking it
Okay,
all in.
all right.
Are you taking notes?
I
Mental.
should be.
Yes.
Mental.
Mental.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about levels, your support and resistance levels. Support is opportunity to buy, resistance opportunity to sell. Um, Also, be mindful when you're doing that of the longer term trend. If you break through one of these support levels or resistance levels, you might want to kind of zoom out and get an idea of whether or not the longer term trend is still intact, or if you need to draw some trend lines and get a better grasp of what that is. All of this is practice. I mean,
Hmm.
you sit here spending hours on end, you're going to get pretty good at it pretty fast. If you're wanting to learn, and don't think that means there won't be any pain. I have lost plenty of money, just and that's part of pay to play. It's going to happen, but we can roll that back into when we said keep a journal. If you're writing some of this stuff down and making note of what you were feeling, how the market looked, and how it either went in your favor or it did not, that can help you later on down the line. Um, that's all I have in my notes. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask outside of what we talked about?
I've
I
got
think
some
you. Oh yeah.
questions.
Yuki.
Okay. Last night I was learning about the patterns, and there's like all these different patterns, and they're called like angry butterfly and fussy crab. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's the
I mean, I have an idea. I don't know what an angry butterfly is.
Don't?
that's not actually what it is.
Oh.
It's something like broken butterfly, the crab. There's all these different patterns like that people can recognize, in the charts. Are you familiar with those? Do you ever play around with trying to identify those patterns, and then you can say like, okay, we're in a broken butterfly, so therefore the market is going to see a downturn.
Yeah, I try not to pay too many attention to those. I noticed the Bart Pepe pattern. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
So you've got these chartists that will draw all kinds of weird patterns. And I think we talked a little bit about keeping things simple last episode. For me, I can get overwhelmed. I mean, there's so much to learn about technical analysis that it can be overwhelming for our audience. I think
Yeah.
it's best that you keep things simple. These trend lines are pretty simple. We'll talk in later episodes about some very simple patterns, but um, I don't want to go into some of those further reaching ones that really aren't time tested and reliable that you might see some people using.
Okay, so someone that's new to all this, and they've got some Bitcoin, they've got some Litecoin, maybe some Ethereum sitting on Coinbase, maybe they have a wallet on their phone, but they want to maybe buy some Doge, or maybe some Pink Coin or something like that. How the heck do they do it? They need to sign up for an exchange, right? How do people sign up for exchange? Where do they go to start trading all these alts that we're talking about?
Okay, so let's start from square one here. I'm going to show you guys a really good resource. Should be able to see my screen now.
Yep.
This is coinmarketcap.com. Um, it's pretty good. There's another one on chain effects. I can pull that up real quick. These are really great resources for people to find to start off on that kind of a journey.
Mhm.
We will use CoinMarketCap because I'm pretty sure that's what most people are familiar with. When you pull up CoinMarketCap, this is likely the screen that you will see. We're going to use Doge as our guinea pig here. So I'll go over here in this little search bar and put in the cryptocurrency I'm looking for rather than scrolling through. And that pulls me up a page that is specifically for Doge. I've got my charts here. Market cap is in blue, which I don't see it. It's probably right in here with the price. And then you've got the rank, where it is in market cap rank there, 45. You can go to the Dogecoin website via this, and then you see you've got some other tabs here above your charts. You can go to markets, and this is a great resource for you to find an exchange. Might want to do a little bit of research on the exchange. If you're familiar with some of the bigger name exchanges, you might feel more comfortable signing up for one of those. Also, another thing you want to pay attention to is this volume here. More volume means more liquidity. You're going to have more opportunity to make the trades if you're setting buy or sell orders, which we'll talk more about that later. But that's essentially how you would find an exchange. And then I think you can even click on the exchange here. Let's say Bittrex is the one you decide you want to use, and
Mhm.
you can go directly from CoinMarketCap to the Bittrex website and register for an account. As far as entering and exiting a Dogecoin trade, let's roll back to the Dogecoin charts here. So this is a great place to start doing some of that research. You can see Dogecoin has some pretty obvious pumps and then some sell-offs. So this is tying back into that. Here we have euphoria and capitulation, going through that cycle of market emotions. And you can see this is really good because this gives you all from January 14 to now. This gives you an idea of everywhere that Doge has been on a chart. And then we get over here with our cursor, we can see our mouse, we can see pretty recent prices around uh, you know uh, 52 satoshis, or four thousandths of a dollar is the current price. And
Mhm.
I'm sure if we, let's see, highlight that, we can see it even a little bit closer. So that takes us from February to May, and we can get more of a smaller time frame.
Mhm.
get an idea where we're at. We're obviously not up here. We're kind of coming into a downtrend. And let's go to Trading View and do Doge. Correct, since that's where we were looking. So this is on a daily time frame right now.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can see that where we're at right now, you've got a lot of these tight-bodied wicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also have, if I just take a trend line and I lay it across there, all the way back to January. Is that January? That's the beginning of February. Back in February, we bounced off of this. Well, we went down below it with a hard wick one day, but we bounced off of this support line, and you can see where we're at right now is tied pretty closely to that support line from almost 2 months ago. So right now, you're looking at a good opportunity maybe to buy some Doge, and then you can do the same for resistance lines. So let's draw a line up here. Try and make that as flat as we can. And we use the body of the wicks. Remember when we're doing our trend lines, it's or not the body of the wicks, the body of the candle. Excuse me. The wicks are not what you want to be using.
Right.
Who's yawning? Is that you, Yuki?
No,
Yuki.
Take another sip of that coffee.
I've already drank a whole mason jar full.
See,
I love it.
Yuki, you know what a cup and handle is, right? Didn't I see you draw a little graphic on some page with the cup and the handle with the... No?
Oh yeah, yeah. If you look there, maybe we've got a cup and handle forming here.
Yeah, last night on the CWN broadcast, that wasn't me doing the chart drawing. That's one of the other broadcasters there. The chartist was talking about that the cup and handle was forming on what coin were we talking? Oh, it was Tron maybe or something.
Yep, cup and handle's a pretty time tested, well used, and I guess somewhat reliable chart pattern. Absolutely, and you've got a little bit of that sort of thing happening here. Yeah, so see, we're right on this support line. Let's go to a smaller time frame and see what that looks like. Ooh, gosh, that's eye cancer. We'll go back to the daily. Yeah, but you guys get the picture, anyways, as far as start to finish what we're looking at. Obviously, here we broke through this support line, and that for you, you should have been selling over here when we were at the resistance or somewhere
Right.
above it, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit below. But then when we return to this, you maybe, let's say you bought here on the support line, have a tight stop, have a 1% stop somewhere below that. You're not going to get real crazy with it. We got down here with a wick that would maybe help form another support line down here.
Yeah.
And we bounced off of that. So that's kind of how you would set that up. If you were to buy in here, place a tight stop loss. And we're going to talk more about that in the future, not tonight. But that would get you out of that trade, and would not, there wouldn't be that much risk for you. You could sit out and wait till you got back up to the support line, or you could, draw another one down here. Again, you're seeing the kind of indecision in the market here with the bodies of these candles being real thin.
Mhm.
Or, kind of range bound during this period. That's that accumulation phase of the trend. And then we saw what happened after that markup. We marked up all the way to the top of this next resistance line. And then you have your disbursement. So this is your selling. And
Hey,
now we're going through the range bound again.
FOMOBY, is Dogecoin tied pretty closely to BTC as far as the movement in the market?
As a whole, I would say so. Everything's going to do its own thing just based off of technology, and I guess public sentiment in the project. Fundamental analysis plays into that too. but it's not always the case that when Bitcoin dumps that Doge is going to make the exact same percentage movement. So, but I mean that's in all altcoins we see Bitcoin go up, and what happens? We see people dump their altcoins to get into Bitcoin. And most often the people that are doing that are doing it way too late. So they're getting wrecked by thinking they're gonna hop on the Bitcoin bull run bandwagon and um, make some more money there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I'm just noticing that I'm getting the feeling like we're about to get a bull run in the overall market. Would you agree with that? I'm just, if we start looking at these cup and handle formations, and now Dogecoin looks like it's doing it. I'm feeling like maybe things are about to start to move in the bullish direction.
So you guys are seeing my screen, correct? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, oh crud, I want to undo that. Let's just look at the total market cap and get an idea on that. And we'll go back to November of last year or December. So we had our top of our uptrend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw a downtrend, bottomed out kind of down in here at $252 billion. And then we saw a little bit of uptrend, but now look at us, we're down kind of in a downtrend again. This is all part of that range bound that I was talking about. We don't have a clear direction up or down. So even on something like this, you could kind of we see these long lateral lines. You can kind of see where maybe you've got a resistance line here at around $4.5 billion. So $450 billion, $500 billion. So it's not clear that we're going to be in a bullish trend just yet. But the further extended that this range bound market gets, the closer that we get to that next portion of the market cycle. So what did I say? Accumulation. We're range bound, so we're accumulating right now. Boy, this thing is not cooperating with me. I'm gonna go to here. So yeah, we're kind of bouncing up and down from that capitulation bottom there to a new top, to a new bottom, to a new top, but we're moving mostly sideways.
Right.
And the longer that this plays out, the closer we are to that bull trend. So you're right and you're wrong in a way, but that you are right in the fact that we could be headed for another bull trend.
Yeah, it looks to me like that line there that was just kind of it was playing just right above and below that line that was going across there, and it feels like things are like warming up for something big. It's just the overall impression I'm getting.
Absolutely, and who doesn't want to feel that? But also keep that in your mind. I'm thinking bull run. What's the guy on the opposite side of the trade thinking? He's thinking he's going to sell into you. So that's just something to be mindful of. It's not necessarily going to be the case, but it's the way you need to think. You need to realize that there is no wrong, or there is no correct side for you to be on. The only right side is the side that the market's on. So just look at it in kind of a two-way vision. Don't get tunnel vision on just one train of thought. Look at it from the opposite side of the table, I guess you could say.
Right. Makes sense.
Some yin and some yang right there for you.
Thank you for that.
Well, if
Yeah,
it,
it appears. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say it appears that FOMOBY is a scrupulous, measured, thoughtful trader. So he's waiting for confirmation of a trend. So long term, I'm sure bullish, but yeah, in the shorter term, he wants the market to show him with with volume, with and with a solid direction where it's going to go next.
Yeah.
Momentum is what I meant to say.
We talked about a little bit of that last episode also. This is you're at bat right now when you're trading, and you're getting to see as many pitches as you want. There is no strikeouts unless you start swinging and you miss. So just sit there and watch the pitches come through, and when you see the one that you want to take, go ahead and take it. And you might have heard other people say sometimes the best move is no move at all. It's okay to sit on the sideline. You've got your long-term crypto investments, and then you've got a trading account. It's okay to sit on the sideline and tether or cash or whatever. Um, True USD, whatever it's called, that's pegged to the US dollar. You can sit on the sideline with that stuff and watch the market unfold until you have a big list of checks that are in your favor that tell you we're going to head one direction or the other. And all of this ties together. The longer time frames, trend lines, is all part of the getting your checklist together for your risk and reward.
Something that pops to mind. You don't lose anything if you don't sell. Does that make sense?
Yes, but nothing risked is nothing gained also. So we're doing this because we don't we're not filthy stinking rich and can just go party it up on a yacht with Calvin Ayers.
Right.
So we're trying to leverage what little capital we have and make it more money, correct?
Exactly.
So while it's also good to sit on the sidelines during periods of uncertainty, you also need to capitalize on periods of volatility to build that stack up slowly. You're not going to lose anything if you don't sell in terms of whatever cryptocurrency it is you're holding. Like, let's say you sold your Bitcoin at 6,000, now you're having to buy back in at 8,300. You lost something there, and it can certainly feel that way. But at the same time, you need to be leveraging what capital you have, and that goes into the risk and reward thing.
Yeah, and if you don't sell when something is really falling apart, you could be bag holding for a while.
Correct.
No, that's a good point. And how, how long do you go down with the ship, or do you jump out and say, well, yeah, I've lost on this particular move, but I didn't die.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into that some later episodes, because when you're in uncharted territory, like, say, when Bitcoin is soaring up to 20,000, how do you identify a trend reversal? How do you identify that we've reached a resistance level? And how do you know that when you're breaking the next support level, that's a time to haul ass out of there, take your money, and sit and watch things unfold for a little while, and draw some trend lines and figure out where we're headed. We'll get into all that later on, but that's basically what I'm saying, Yuki, is you have one Bitcoin, early December, and it gets to $20,000. You sell to tethers. You're sitting on $20,000 worth of tethers, and you make the absolute perfect move. You're buying 3 Bitcoin come capitulation time. You
Right.
just tripled your amount of Bitcoin. And now you can, if you want to hold it through the range bound or accumulation phase, then you can do that and wait for the next bull run, and be ready to sell when we hit 64,000.
Can we just really quickly talk about tethers? I've heard bad things about it, but I hear a lot of people are talking about moving into tethers.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean on hearing
Okay.
a lot of people move into tethers. Whenever you are identifying Bitcoin as reaching a resistance level, and let's say it doesn't make it through that resistance level with any kind of gusto or volume, and it kind of comes back down below that resistance level, maybe that's a good time to move to some Tethers just depending on what the charts say, and wait till we hit the next support level and
What
buy
I'm
back in.
what I'm talking about is maybe I'm getting confused, but it's called Tether. It's number 15 on CoinMarketCap. It's the thing that allows you to it's connected to the US dollar. It says it's $1 right now. Is that what you're talking about when you say move to Tether? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
it is. Okay.
it's pegged to the US dollar. And I want everybody to realize that all of this stuff, there's risk involved. Okay.
Right.
There's no more risk in getting into Tether than there is in Bitcoin, but also that depends on the state of the market and where we're headed in the trend. So I look at Tethers as a good kind of a safe ground if you're just trading Bitcoin to US dollar.
Oh yeah.
But if you are looking at alts versus Bitcoin, there's an option there to maybe when Bitcoin starts going down mid-December. I think it was mid-December. If you had taken all that Bitcoin value and jumped into some hot alts, you have a lot of opportunity to grow your money there until I think it was mid-January when the alts kind of fell apart.
Right. That makes sense.
There's so many different ways. There's no one right way to do it. But to me, it's just having a plan and sticking to that plan.
So one of the things I like to do is, well, I don't like to do it, but I do it. And I actually dealt with it a little bit this morning. I'll get into a point where I'm via wrecked, and I'll try to find, like, let's say for instance, Dogecoin. I bought Dogecoin at 100 Satoshi and it's at 50. One of the things I'll do is hold what I have, and then I'll use capital. So I always try to keep extra Bitcoin or cash available, and I'll buy down. So basically what that does for me is buying at 50 kind of takes my, depending on how much I spend, if I match what I had originally spent, that would actually put my purchase price at around 75 Satoshi. So it kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of my uninformed decision to not sell.
Yes, you're right. What you're talking about is averaging down.
Cost averaging, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Dollar cost averaging, yes.
A lot of people do that. I mean, just don't, like we've said, don't mortgage the house to cost average down. And that's a really, really good way to do it. Maybe not go all in with your capital all at once. Set different levels for yourself to enter different trades. A lot of people do that, and me, I don't really mess around with that a whole lot. If I have the opportunity, I'll do it. I'm kind of an all or nothing guy. So I really like to make sure I have my checks in my favor. If I'm a loser, I'm a loser. I'll bag hold for a little while. But that is an awesome tool. I wish that I had a little bit more self-discipline and using that.
Yeah, I actually battled with myself a little bit this morning about it. I spoke to a couple guys in Discord, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to average down or actually just try to find another entry in something else and kind of make up the difference of that loss with something else. I ended up choosing to average down, but for me, it makes it to where I don't necessarily need a 100% pump to at best get out even, and then maybe potentially find another re-entry in Doge, or do like Travis had said, where maybe wait for some confirmation. I've noticed that waiting for confirmation, and I think you kind of were getting there earlier, Moby, where if you're waiting for confirmation, you're giving up percentages of profit, or you could potentially be, avoiding a loss in profit. But it's, we talked about these wicks. It's if you're, if you catch the bottom of that wick, it's going to make a lot more of a difference versus if you're buying what you think is on a trend up. I'm not very good at catching those wicks, but I tend to try to stay in that candle and not necessarily wait for 3 or 4 more candles later I'll try to get in there where I think that it's a potential reversal. Like for instance, where we're at with Doge, I think we're somewhere around 50. Um, it would really surprise me if that thing completely fell off from there. You're going to see a couple dips, but as far as where I'm at with it, as long as I'm not losing two 300%, and I'm staying at around 100, it makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all this is going to tie together. We talked a little bit about setting the stops below these support levels. You can get stop hunted and set it, you know, a few percent below the support level. Somebody quickly market sells it down below that. It's going to trigger your stop, and you're out of the trade. And then they come right back up and market buy it up above the support level.
Right. ZCL did that before their fork. That was happening a lot, man. People would think that they would be safe, and that guy would he would buy them out. He would sell them out.
Yep. Yep, that's why you hear talk of whales. They're known for doing that sort of thing. Oh crud! I had another good point that you had brought to mind, Beggar, but it's off my mind now. We're getting pretty close to an hour. Do you guys have any other questions that you want to go over before we wrap this up? And then we can always recap later next show.
How do you keep emotionally healthy trading and doing all this stuff? You personally, FOMOBY.
I bet them girls keep you busy.
You know what? I'm so stinking busy, and I have so many other outlets of attention to give. If something, okay, this is actually what Baker had brought to my mind.
Okay.
Most of my trades that do well, they go in my favor immediately. Correct. So if that's not the case, I'm either out of the trade or I'm going to be bag holding because I decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm looking maybe some longer term trends on something, so I might be bag holding for a shorter trend. It's easy for me to exit out of this little window that shows the chart and go do something else.
That's a good
And
point.
and for some people that's not the case. They have to hold on to that, and even to a degree I can say it affects me. I can go do something else, but I'm thinking, damn, I just lost. I don't like to lose. I'm competitive. So and that's a good attitude to have. You got to be pretty competitive. That's what a market is. It's a competition. um, um, but for me personally, it's pretty easy to turn this off and go focus on some other project or task that I have, and leave it at that. Sometimes those emotions will creep back in, but um, for anybody, it's just managing stress, and there's ways to go about that, and for everybody, it's a little bit different.
Awesome.
I like that answer.
Yeah, it was a good answer.
Sweet Tea, do you have any questions before we close up?
Going off of that, do you take any additional steps if it's after a losing trade?
What do you mean by
If
additionals?
well, if you suffer, a decent loss from a trade, do you take more time off before you go back and plot your next move?
No, I wouldn't put any kind of a time frame on it. We've talked about the journal. I keep a journal, so I will make note of it. But and it's not that I'm not ever trying to get past a losing trade, other than to come back and win again on a winning trade. I want to have that memory ingrained in my head, so that the next time that I get to a situation like the one that I lost at, I'm prepared a little bit better and maybe make a better decision.
Right. Yeah, sometimes it makes me impulsive. Want to be impulsive at least.
Yes,
You get a
absolutely.
loss and you just want to make it right back up.
Yep, you have people that will rage trade, I guess you could say. That's never a good idea. You're gonna blow out your account faster than
I
anything
can I can attest to that. Yep.
if
Sweet
you act
tea,
on
no.
those.
There, the
It's
wrecked was part of Crypt wrecked is not for nothing.
Yep, you've gotta manage those emotions, and just do your best to keep them at bay, and know and know what to be doing the next time that rolls around. So,
Right.
all right, guys. Well, I'm going to shut it off. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys asking such good questions and joining me and getting this info out to people that are trying to learn and make themselves maybe a little bit more financially free, however they do it. I want everybody that's listening to understand this is one little piece of a massive, massive puzzle when it comes to trading. There are so many different moving parts to all of this. Don't think you're a master, listening to a few of these episodes and go out and gamble it all away. Just,
Right.
just, just move slowly. That's in your favor, and learn all that you can. Beggar, thank you very much for taking time away from that beautiful family and joining us. Same to you, Yuki and Goddess, and Travis. I'm not sure if you have a family, or Trevor, if you have a
Uh,
family, but
I got rid of everything because this is the most important thing in my life.
oh, jeez. Were you able to make any profit when you got rid of the rest?
Yeah. Yeah, I made a little slush fund for myself.
Cool. See, if I was to get rid of mine, I would have to pay somebody to take them, I think.
Oh.
Wow.
No, 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 no.
Just teasing.
I appreciate you, Moby. I love the show. I love what you're doing. This is amazing. Appreciate you having me on, and I think you're doing a good thing here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I certainly hope that we are helping somebody and doing the right thing.
Yeah, thank you, FOMOBY, and thank you, Bitcoin Beggar, and thank you, Travis Sweet Tea.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, you need financial literacy in crypto, unless you stay only to Twitter. But if you're going to trade, you need to know what you're doing.
Yes.
Real quick, I love all you guys. I was in a horrible mood when I started, and right now I'm happy.
Oh.
Woo!
Right.
We did
And
it.
hope-
Wait, Euphoria,
Profits.
sell.
Yeah.
yeah.
Profits.
I love you,
Sell
Yuki.
Yuki.
You want me to sell Yuki or?
Well, I'm just bearish on him. Bearish on Yuki because this is the top.
In the meantime, between now and next week's episode, you guys can catch us all on Twitter, Bitcoin Beggar, Crypto Euclid, the Goddess, Travis Sweet Tea, and myself. We're all on YouTube, and we make, for the most part, I'm pretty sure you guys do, but we make ourselves available to help others whenever they need it. So catch us there. Thank you, everybody who tuned in, and we'll see you next week.